Hello again, Patricia Ivan here of HarvestSprings International. As a charity ministry, we're really keen at having conversations around mental health. And what we're doing this video series is one of the ways we're contributing to addressing mental health in the church. I have got with me today a young medical student in a second year, talking with me about mental health and with us about mental health. I'm going to introduce her very shortly. I was really impressed. So she launched a YouTube channel some weeks back called Talking Matters. And I was really impressed and really just admired her courage in breaking the silence about her journey in relation to our mental well-being and our mental health. And she's grown up in the church, very parents are committed Christians, more than committed Christians. So it just goes to show that none of us can shield ourselves completely from this. This is normal part of our day-to-day lives, particularly or even more so in certain phases of our life. So welcome, Ireayo. It's good to have you on.
Thank you.
And so I'm going to give you the floor to say whatever you want to say around. I know we've had a conversation before now that you were going to talk about anxiety, perhaps, and depression, and maybe linking it to some of your journeys. But, you know, whatever we say today is not going to be a full-blown conversation like she's had on our YouTube channel. So I'm going to direct you, young people, parents, to check out Ireayo's YouTube channel titled Talking Matters. And so the floor is yours, Ireayo.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I think, like me personally, I went on my own mental health journey. I'd say it was a good 8 years. And like you said, the full story is on my YouTube channel. But I myself experienced a lot of depression and anxiety in that time. And I think that it's important to be having the conversations that we're having now, so that people know that it's not something that doesn't happen to us just because you're in the faith, or just because you're Black, or just because your children were brought up in the UK. It doesn't shield them from the realities of life and how that may affect them mentally. So I would say that it's all about kind of raising awareness for that issue, raising awareness of that fact. And I think that in terms of maybe like identifying it, it's more looking at trying to, talk to your children, being a person that they could even approach in the first place, and can say what's on their mind. And if you're sensing it, ask. They might not tell you, because I was asked and I still didn't say anything, but just being available and being there is really important, I would say, on behalf of the parents and on behalf of people who are experiencing it themselves. I would say that it's really important to speak up, really important to tell somebody, because if nobody knows, then nobody can help you. And even if you want to speak to someone that you don't know, there are a lot of helplines that you can kind of get involved with. Samaritans has one that's 24/7. And then Mind also has one, but it's not 24/7. They do have opening hours. So there's always people out there who can help you, people out there who can speak to you, your family, your friends, your GP, anybody, because suffering in silence is not a good thing to do. Again, like a lot of detail I do go into more detail about all these things. And even with my own parents themselves is a video that I filmed trying to talk to other people and let them see how maybe their parents can get involved, and so on and so forth. But all of this, like in great detail, like you said, will be on my YouTube channel, A Talking Matter. That's kind of where we talk about it the most and in depth, because I think that's a good platform to use to try and engage people in the matters of mental health and try and change mindsets and try and get people to see that you're not the only one that's suffering, or you're not the only one that's going through the experience that you're going through. Because I know that a lot of people who do face various mental health issues do feel like that they're the only one and that no one else understands. But there are a lot of people in the world who can understand where you're coming from.
Well, thank you for that, Ireayo. And I was listening to you intently, and one of the things you said was that, well, my parents asked me, but I still didn't see anything. And I'm thinking, okay, yes, we know the benefit of hindsight is a great thing. What can you advise, or what tools do you think is useful for parents to have, to be able to maybe be able to have this conversation, or make it easier to have these conversations? So, let's start with that, because there's another part to that question.
Yes, I think a key thing as well, like kind of on the behalf of the person who's suffering, is to acknowledge your feelings. So I'd say that for me, I knew I was feeling however I was feeling, but I didn't put it down to depression. I didn't say like, oh, I was depressed. So I'd say that in terms of parents, understanding that you might see and go, oh my gosh, I think my child is depressed, but your child might not know that they're depressed. They might not think that they're depressed. They might be in denial. And so even when you ask and you come forth and, you say, are you okay? Whatever. They might tell you, yeah, I'm fine or whatever, because they genuinely don't fully understand. And I think maybe to inquire more and say, okay, maybe you're like not depressed. What are you feeling? What are your thoughts? What's going on in your head that's made you, I don't know, act a certain way, that's made you break down and cry all of a sudden, or that's made you react in a certain way, and try and break it down. And that maybe from that conversation, the child can go, oh, actually, maybe, yeah, this isn't normal and this isn't okay, and kind of open up and have that space. But I think also for your child to be able to do that, you have to speak to your child on a regular basis, have good conversation with your children. It's not just, school, how was school, talk about different things. Like my family watch the news together. We'll be discussing politics. We'll be discussing various things. Just feeling like you can actually talk to them in the first place, because even if you do ask, if they're scared of you, or if they think you won't really understand, then they're not going to open up, even if they do know anyway.
No, that's really useful to hear. And I guess one of the things I was hearing you say is parents, you need to, and maybe not just parents, guardians, and even pastors, because you talked about 8 years, and I'm pretty sure in those 8 years you were part of a faith community. You were in the church, and you would have had people working with you at that point, as part of working with other children or other youths in the church. So it's important for us to ask unpacking questions, not just, are you okay? Because I'm okay could be the answer. And unpacking, what we call unpacking questions in the psychotherapy world is, okay, so if somebody tells me they're okay, if your child says, or a young person says, I'm okay, you can ask more questions about, okay, what makes them feel okay? What is it that they've done or they're doing? And you might just get to that point of, I don't know. And then you're able to, what is it that you don't know? So, does that sound like what one of the stuff you kind of referring to when you say,
yeah,
ask questions about what they feel? Okay. And also, I guess is giving it time. That's another thing I think I heard you say, that give it time. They might not name it today. They might not acknowledge it today. They might need more time to get to that point. What do you think we can do as parents, guardians, and pastors who around young people, when you can clearly see something? How do we give them time? Do we ask them every day? Do we ask them, how do you think we could, I know you might not have all the answers. I'm just kind of wondering, what do you think might be helpful? Ask them, every 2 days, what might be helpful?
I think that like balance is like key there, because I think there's also not bothering them too much to the point where like they just start to ignore you, because I know that especially like young people, we're really good at that. Like if someone's messaging you too much, you start just airing messages. You're just like, this person needs to leave me alone. But I do think that there's still maybe an element of consistency that's required. I think that for some people it might just be when you notice something, like maybe when every time you see maybe someone's upset, or every time you see someone's like got really angry all of a sudden, and you're like, okay, are you okay? Was it just this situation that made you feel like that? Was it something else? Like, what was going on? And kind of bringing it up in situations where it's kind of more obvious, I think, is probably the best way to go about it, because I think when it becomes like an every or too regular, I think it's very easy for people to like shut down and be like, leave me alone. But I think it's also like relationship. So having a relationship with the person makes it easier to be more consistent than most, because I'm sure if you're a parent messaging your child regularly, it's not the same as some pastor of the church who you don't really talk to. Like, it's all about relationship as well, in terms of how frequently you can ask those kind of things. But yeah, I would say like consistently, but probably easier when you can see, it's a very clear in their behavior, maybe very clear in their demeanor, that it's that, because it shows that, I guess, that in that moment you've seen something and you've reacted to it because you care, as opposed to like regularly pushing someone to an answer, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much for that. One other thing I'm going to ask you, you talked about the demeanor and what you can see. You know, we know as an older generation that sometimes young people just want to be by themselves. So what are the things that you think are telltale signs that there might be something going on? What are the things you think, if parents, guardians are seeing, maybe it might be a cue to questioning them?
I think there's like different things for different people. For one, like there's no rule book that's the same for everybody. But there are things like, for me, like I know I was tired all the time, and I used to say I was tired all the time. And it's not that you didn't sleep necessarily, you just feel tired all the time. I think looking at for signs like someone who's tired all the time, who's not anemic, obviously. And then things like mood, like what is their demeanor? Are they a smiley person, and then now all of a sudden they're not smiling at all, they're not happy, or they used to come out and speak to you, they used to come out and talk to you, and now they just be by themselves alone. Maybe like you even noticed that before they used to go out with their friends, they used to go outside and, you know, talk to their friends, or they used to be the person that went to birthdays all the time, and now you know, their friends are even messaging you like, we haven't seen XYZ in a while. So like I think it's little things, it's more like noticing, I guess, changes in behavior as opposed to like specific things. So I say things like that, that lack of enjoyment, or maybe the way they speak about things, the things that they say about themselves, about the world, it's very negative. So that kind of thing, anything that seems a bit different, or you notice something that's a bit off, or for some maybe it's that all of a sudden they're behaving badly, for example, looking into that. Why is that, if it's not a usual behavior for the individuals? I think it's all just changes in behavior that are not very positive.
Okay. Wow, that has been really useful hearing from you. And there you have it. There are signs that you could look for, but most importantly, changes in behavior of your young person. It's worth asking some questions. It might be nothing, but it's worth checking in, and checking with balance. Checking, you know, based on your relationship. If you're not used to checking in every day, if they're leave away, then don't start doing that all of a sudden, I guess is what Ireayo is sharing with us. So it's been really useful hearing from you. I'm going to signpost people again to some of the things you've said, you know, Mind, the Samaritans Helpline, and your YouTube channel to get the conversations going. There are useful, practical ideas around managing our mental health, dealing with any challenges we have within the family or as a person. So it's been really useful to have you on. Yes, it is Mental Health Week, but do not limit the conversation to Mental Health Week. Let us continue to have those conversations, I guess is what you're saying and what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Good to have you on, Ireayo. Have a really good day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.